Guess who? Da, 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 da.
Campy movies are a mix of horror and humor, and the 80s were the pinnacle of both. Filled with cheesy horror, sometimes making you laugh and other times making you scream. These movies may seem funny now, but if you set aside the purposeful ridicule, you will see that they offer you some cinematic pieces of this genre. So, without further ado, let's explore the campiest horror films of the 80s. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to us. It's a small click from you, but it goes a long way for us. Let's begin, shall we?
Well, start bringing them in.
Number 1, Evil Dead 2, 1987. The second of the black comedy horror series by Sam Raimi, Evil Dead 2 reprises Bruce Campbell's character of Ash Williams as he faces yet another mind-warping supernatural experience. Ash Williams and his girlfriend Linda go for a romantic escapade to an abandoned cabin in the woods, where they discover an audio tape of archaeologist Raymond Noby reciting incantations from Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead. In the process, they unleash the Kandarian demon. The demon kills and possesses Linda, turning her into a deadline, compelling Ash to kill her. Ash then gets possessed from dawn until daybreak, terrifying him. And thus, this begins a series of torment for Ash and later on Noby's daughter, and two local guides as they realize there is no escaping the woods. The movie was financed by horror novelist Stephen King, a fan of the first movie, and naturally, he invested in seeing what the sequel had to offer. Evil Dead 2 lives up to its cult status in the camp genre with gallons of blood, a ton of parody, and gore. Bruce Campbell's dynamic performance is what moves the movie forward, so if you're interested to see where the camp genre starts, take your time and watch the Evil Dead series.
Sounds far away, not far enough.
Number 2, An American Werewolf in London, 1981. Jack and David are your average American backpackers taking a tour of London. They enter a pub and ask around about the place, and are warned by locals to steer clear of the moors, which they obviously do not. Jack then gets mauled and killed by a wolfish creature, and David escapes with injuries. 3 weeks later, he wakes up in the hospital with sketchy memories of the incident. He is then greeted by a gory-looking Jack, who appears only to David to tell him that he is now a werewolf, and that as long as the werewolf bloodline survives, the undead will be cursed to roam the earth. Jack urges David to kill himself, so he doesn't inflict a brutal murder on anyone else. The story continues to tell the tale of David the American werewolf roaming about in London on a murder spree. John Landis beautifully brings together horror and comedy in this movie, as he portrays the werewolf experience through the eyes of two American college boys. The special effects coordinated by Rick Baker won an Oscar, so keep an eye out for the transformation scene. In the werewolf genre, this is one of the good ones. So go ahead and put it on your watch list for some gory wolf action. Number 3, Child's Play, 1988.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Probably one of the more well-known horror movies, Child's Play is the first installment of the films that starred the murderous doll Chucky. This movie shows the origin of Chucky as Charles Lee Ray and how he came to be in beauty. It revolves around a widowed mother, Karen, buying a good guy doll for her son Andy's birthday. The doll introduces itself as Chucky to Andy, and all seems well until Chucky ends up killing Karen's friend Maggie while she watches over Andy one night. Another murderer, and Andy, who is now the prime suspect despite his pleas, is placed in a psych ward. That is until Karen discovers that Chucky's batteries were still in the box he came in. This revelation spins the story into Karen trying her best to convince the cops that the doll is the murderer and not her son Andy.
I am telling you the truth. He killed Maggie. He killed Eddie Caputo.
Look, Mrs. Bark.
Child's Play is packed with genuine jump scares and is an excellent introduction for an iconic character like Chucky. The script is dark and witty, yet clever, with brilliant one-liners, frightening sarcasm, and the film remains entertainingly twisted throughout its runtime. This movie holds up even after 34 years, and has garnered several sequels, and even a remake with equally eerie music, and some mad special effects. This movie is undoubtedly a must-watch for your Halloween binges or your weekend fright fest. Number 4.
What's your problem?
They Live, 1988. Have you ever had that thought that maybe aliens are inhabiting amongst us? If so, how would you know? Perhaps a unique pair of glasses can scan people to see if they're aliens or humans. That's what John Carpenter brings to life in They Live. Nana is a homeless drifter who comes to LA searching for a job and finds employment at a construction site. He meets Frank, who brings him to a soup kitchen, and meets Gilbert's owner. That same night, a hacker hacks the national broadcast and says that the people are being enslaved and blinded by signals, and the only way to stop it is to shut off the source. While watching this, he notices a lot of people complain of headaches. That same night, the kitchen and a church hosting a secret meeting are destroyed. Coincidence? I think not. Nada then finds sunglasses that reveal subliminal instructions and aliens posing as humans. He tries to confront them, but it backfires, and he is now a felon on the run. He has to make his way through the myriad of posers and, in the chase, find out who is a friend and who a foe, as he attempts to shut off the signals. Coming from the master behind films like The Thing, this movie is acclaimed political satire and a play on the entire idea of aliens on Earth. The plot is excellent as it taps on the sci-fi genre well. While the movie is somewhat well-made, it falls short of good. For its age, however, the effects are surprisingly good. The fighting may have gone overboard, but overall it is a good watch if you're willing to overlook bits of flaws here and there. Number 5. Brain Damage, 1988. Hallucinations aren't exactly comforting, but that's what happened to Brian after he underwent a brief illness. Brian soon discovers that he now plays host to a chemical-inducing phallic parasite in his brain, something that he later comes to know is called the Aylmer. Contrary to the general understanding of parasites, the parasite Aylmer speaks perfect English and uses its profound knowledge to assure Brian of a worry-free life if he were to take it out on a walk. The catch? Brian's chemical induction into his brain, which he calls juice, causes him to be incoherent and unaware of his surroundings. In other words, the parasite takes over, killing people and slurping their brains. As with all happy substances, Brian becomes addicted to the juice and loses his grip on a stable life. This worries his girlfriend and his brother. But our dear protagonist does realize his folly and tries to wean off the juice. Still, the parasite, now turning sinisterly gleeful, tells him that there is no escape, now that his body's chemistry is altered and is currently unable to sustain without it. The withdrawal would be unbearable. If you like low-budget horror films with gory treats and crazy death scenes, then Brain Damage is the one for you. Filled with carnage, innuendo, sleaze, and some shoddy graphic work, this film is a treat for all who want to watch something sick yet funny from Frank Henenlotter's best pieces of work. All in all, the film is well suited for a night out with a few chilled ones. Number 6. Motel Hell, 1980. Siblings Vincent and Ida Smith live on a farm and run a motel called Motel Hell, famous for its exquisite smoked meats. It is to this motel that Beau and his girlfriend Terry ride to when they meet in apparent accident and are coincidentally met by the sibling duo, Vincent and Ida, who offer them help. The shocking events that unfurl with the movie show Vincent burying Beau in the garden behind the motel, and then taking Terry to the motel, claiming that her boyfriend had succumbed to his injuries from the accident. It soon becomes apparent that Vincent, the motel manager and farmer, was actually a butcher and meat entrepreneur who trapped unfortunate travelers, only to harvest their meat for human sausages. Terry's chances of survival become meager as the film moves forward, and her only hope is Sheriff Bruce, the estranged brother of the murderous siblings. Motel Hell is a fun black comedy for you if you have a strong stomach, albeit with little gore. Aided with your typical farmers, rock groupie and sheriff, this movie is a one-time watch, unless you like it. There's a ton of dark humor, a chainsaw duel, and even a few smokin' scenes here and there. Motel Hell isn't that great, but the actors enjoy being in character, and that makes the film worthy of your precious time. So if you like this minor cult classic, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and let us know about your favorite pick or any suggestions that you may have. That was all for today. Stay safe and have a good one.